Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy podcast. I am your host, the iTunes Fanboy, and with me today I also have my co-host, Tabbypears.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Alright, so we have a lot of topics to go through today, so let's start off with the first topic. So, have you ever heard of the EU before?
Yeah, they're like the regulators.
Yeah, they're the European regulators, aka they stand for the European Union. but
Yeah.
they but they are currently forcing Apple to do two things. So, number one. So, you remember that bill that the U.S. government was trying to pass that would force Apple to allow side loading?
Yeah.
Well, now the EU is forcing Apple. EU is also forcing Apple to permit side loading in third-party app stores.
I don't think that's the worst idea unless Apple makes it so people can get it on without knowing the precautions. Well, what I'm trying to say is if people know what they're doing, this could be very good. But if people don't know what they're doing, like, the average person gets a hold of this, that could be very bad as well.
Well, here's the thing. It's pretty bad because it can compromise the security, and it means that Apple will no longer be making money off of their apps. And you might be like, well, I'm just going to keep using the regular App Store, right? But you know what's going to happen? There are
Pirate
developer.
app stores will probably come out, and like the Epic Games app store.
Yeah, like
I
that's
think
going to come
that
out.
yeah, I think that is going to be the dumbest idea ever, because why does Epic Games need any more money than they already have? They already have what, the biggest game of 2017. It's not like Epic Games is at a shortage of money. It's quite the opposite.
Well, true, but they did lose 60% of their players with the ban on the App Store and the Google Play Store.
And to me, that's honestly a plus, because I hate that game, and I was tired of seeing people ask me, "You want to play Fortnite?"
Yeah, Fortnite. Funny enough, didn't hear of Fortnite until spring of 2018.
Yeah, I found out about it in December 2017, and I just thought it was the dumbest game ever.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I actually did play it temporarily at one of my friends' houses back in December 2018, and I've even considered downloading it myself. But by the time I can, but when I was still considering it, they removed it, and I thought, "Ooh, I'm not going to download this game."
Yeah, I had it downloaded for a while, and I just didn't play it, so I just ended up removing it. I think I downloaded it for a video back when it was brand new on iOS.
Yeah. So, and it's not just Fort Epic Games that's irritated with Apple too. Meta is really irritated with Apple.
All of these companies that mine your data are mad at Apple for preventing tracking.
Micro, I think Microsoft and Google are all getting irritated. Spotify's getting irritated. Tinder's getting irritated.
Pretty much all the apps that are just trying to get your data or have competitors to Apple's own are getting mad, right?
Yeah, which means that they're going to make it to where you have to sideload those apps.
Which is going to be very bad for um, us, because, as we already know, or people might not know this, but the more apps that you have on your phone, the less stable your phone will be. So I try to keep about 30 apps at most on my phone at once, because I had about 150 apps on my old backup, and all those apps combined
far more vulnerable to malware unless Apple would have to put some really high security because there was an incident on the Google Play Store back in 2019 where it placed malware on 50,000 Android phones.
I know that right now, there is adware apps on the Play Store that you can use. Like, you can go onto the Google Play Store on any Android phone and install apps that will give you advertisements on your lock screen and home screen and in your notification bar. One of those is TunnelBear VPN.
Isn't a VPN supposed to make your online life easier?
Yeah, but TunnelBear used to not be bad, and their iOS app is pretty stable, but I guess on Android they just wanted more money. Or maybe Apple wouldn't let them force ads onto people.
Yeah, I know Apple wouldn't allow that because
Yeah, and by ads, I don't mean like asking to buy a VPN subscription. I mean Google ads, like physical, literal, like advertisements on this phone. Like, not just what people claim as ads when they're like Apple Arcade trials, because I don't believe those to be ads really, but like serious ads.
yes, and of course those ads could be spam too, but Apple will have to put some really serious security on their devices to where any app installed on your devices can't do that.
Yeah, I am wondering what they're gonna do on iOS 16 to announce, I guess, side loading, and is it gonna be a feature only in the European Union?
Uh,
That's
technically
gonna be pretty
The
strange.
US is passing a bill on it too, so
Oh wow. So Apple's just kind of in a very bad situation right now.
yes, because they should not be forced to do something because funny enough, did you know because Apple prioritizes device security higher than anything because do you remember back when they were going to scan child abuse images?
Yeah, that made me very mad. That actually made me switch to Android for a bit of time.
They still haven't added that feature yet because they're trying to make that feature secure, though honestly I can't see that feature coming.
I really hope it doesn't because I don't have anything to hide. But what if this feature just straight up ends up getting innocent people arrested for thinking that they have something that they don't?
Yeah, like that's kind of scary because Mr. Who's the Boss actually mentioned this in his he's worried I'm worried about humanity's future video. He mentioned that the governments are going to start forcing tech giants to search for search for things like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I will say the truth, Google does it too. So for any Android users, you're already getting this feature right now if you're using Google Photos.
Yes, and it's not just yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, exactly. And funny and when the tech just isn't smart enough, like here's an obvious example of tech that isn't smart enough. I don't know if this bill actually went through or not, but the government was actually trying to force all car manufacturers to put sensors in the cars that you put your mouth into. And what it's
Oh
supposed to
yeah,
do is it's
it
supposed to
breathalyzes, right?
check your mouth for drink if you've been drinking or not.
Yeah, I heard about that. It is the dumbest bill I've ever heard.
Because guess what? Number one, more people have issues with with using their phones while driving rather than drinking nowadays. And number two, that tech doesn't exist, really.
And it's unfortunate that all these car manufacturers are pretty much going to have to deal with this eventually because I don't know if you know why would anybody
Yes, I know. Oh yeah, and so I can picture the whole future if they put this bill through. I can picture the whole future of you of let's say that I'm grow so I obviously want to grow up to be a tech CEO of my own tech empire when I grow up. And if you worked for me, you might be calling in late and say, "Hey boss, I'm sorry, but I can't make it to work today. My car won't let me drive."
Yeah, because the car would probably mess up, especially after these components will eventually fail because everything in tech will fail at some point. That's just the truth. Every single part of
Yeah. The,
tech
they're
at one time will fail.
yeah, they're kind of forcing yeah, they're we're going to we might be seeing a repetition of the butterfly keyboard, except this issue is going to be far worse.
Yeah,
Oh, well, let's stop talking about that and let's move on to what else the EU is doing. So, you've probably heard of this bill, but the EU is forcing Apple to switch to USB C ports on their iPhones. Hello? Can you hear me? Now I am re-recording the video version. So, for those of you who don't know, I had an internet outage, which is probably why the podcast got delayed last week instead of just instead of the FaceTime outage. So what we were
yeah.
going
Since I wasn't getting any calls from you last week, but I think they were delayed because it was like 3 in the morning when I got like 17 random calls at once.
Yeah, and obviously and obviously I was probably sleeping then.
Yeah, yeah. We recorded this in the daytime, not midnight.
Yeah, but that's obviously not. But now we have. So back on what we were talking about. So the EU is also forcing Apple to switch to USB-C on their iPhones.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, that's probably a better idea because I used to be actually very heavily biased towards Lightning up until about 7 months ago. I used to hate using modern iPads because of USB C, but then I started recording more on my phone and I realized I could have such a better experience with USB Type C if it was on my iPhone because I could direct to my USB drive and not have to deal with AirDrop and image capture. So what I ended up doing was I was just transferring a ton of stuff from my iPad mini to my hard drive just using USB C. And I wasn't able to do that on Lightning. And I feel like if they do add USB C to the iPhone, it would really enhance everything because wireless is not there yet. AirDrop is a prime example of that with probably sub USB 2 speeds, honestly. I could assume with AirDrop. And while it's getting better, every Wi-Fi and every Bluetooth iteration, I don't think it's going to be completely ready for about another 3 or 4 years. And every year we have these rumors of there's going to be a portless iPhone next year, but we never get it. So I'm wondering, is it best for Apple to just go with USB C for like 3 or 4 years and then eventually phase it off slowly because we don't want the last iPhone with a port to be USB 2 garbage, or they could just make Lightning USB 3 speeds and give Lightning more output, and I would just be fine with using a Lightning adapter with my USB drives.
Yeah, well, actually, that might still not fix the issues Apple's been making
Depends
light
the EU.
because Apple's been making lightning to SD card and USB dongles and even 30 pin to USB and SD card dongles, but they were only doing that with the iPads. So I don't think
Yeah,
that Apple thinks that
I
people would really need it with the iPhone.
yeah I actually bought the $40 USB it just straight up did not work. So that's a useless accessory in my opinion because even the iPads don't really have that much of a use for that anymore since there's only like one more Lightning iPad on sale, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Apple still sells the 30-pin dongles and 30-pin cables.
Oh,
And obviously, no Apple devices have had them. Apple hasn't made any devices with 30-pin connectors since 2014.
which one was it in 2014?
2014 was when they discontinued the iPhone 4S and the iPad 2, which were the last 30-pin devices remaining in their lineups.
Yeah, and they also discontinued the iPod Classic 7 that year, I believe, as well.
Yeah, so I think Apple completely. Sorry, one of my cats wants out, but so I'm going to go let Mikey out now because he clearly wants out.
Mikey?
Yeah, Mike is one of my cats. You want out, Mikey? There we go. He is one of my youngest cats, so he's very playful, obviously.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, even some of my older cats, like Sugar, for example, are still quite playful.
Yeah,
And Stormy's playful too.
the story looks like a nice cat.
He
What do you
is.
think?
He isn't very nice to other cats though, but he is a nice cat to humans.
Yeah, what do you think about Apple switching to USB-C? Is that something that you would like?
I I don't want Apple to do that for a good reason. The future of iPads is for them to replace computers. So, if Apple so that's why iPads need USB-C ports. But iPhones aren't really designed to replace computers.
Yeah, but a counter argument here is they're not designed to replace computers, no, but they are designed in a way to replace cameras. And if there's no good way to get the footage off of the phone, that's obviously a pretty big issue.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other reason why Apple doesn't want to switch to USB-C entirely is because they want there to still be an excuse for everybody to make Lightning accessories. Because every device with because all devices must have MFI all cables and such must have MFI certification, which stands for made for iPhone or made for Apple Watch or whatever. They have to pay every time an accessory with MFI certification is sold. Apple makes $4. Think about it. Apple's gonna lose a whole lot of money by doing that because let's use 30-pin as an example for this. Now you can't really find any 30-pin accessories in stores anymore. Okay, there we go. So, welcome back here. So, our current my internet went out again, but we have resolved issues to fix that. So now it should be working just fine.
Yeah, so we can. What is it? The third take, right? Or yeah,
Yeah,
third take, I think.
so we were focusing on USB-C iPhones previously, but we've pretty much talked about that.
Yeah.
So now I think we need to move on to what is new for the iPhone 14, which is, can you guess what Apple's doing with the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Ultra?
Bigger cameras.
Yep, that is it.
I remember the good old days when I could go out, buy an iPhone 4, and just have a camera that was not, nearly a quarter of the phone's size.
Yep. However, the reason why is because they're upping the camera megapixel count from 12 to 48.
Is that for 8K video?
My guess is yes. Because the Samsung Galaxy is now a 4K video. 8K video, excuse me. So it would make perfect sense because.
Played with that on my S21, and it took up about 100 gigabytes of storage. It took up more than ProRes.
Yeah. And yet,
Which
didn't
is
Samsung remove the SD card slot from them to where you could store that kind of video?
Yep, they removed it. So there's no way to really high capacity.
Yeah, there's actually a reason why I don't do edit my videos in ProRes quite yet.
You record on the 11 Pro Max, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I record my videos in 4K 60 or HD 60, which is 1080 60. 2017, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it works just fine. I haven't had any issues with the quality. If I want, sometimes I will record a few clips in ProRes if it's going to be very important, but a lot of the time I'll just keep it to the basics.
Yeah. That's still not as good as Samsung's 108 megapixel cameras.
I think on the normal S22 they downgraded the camera to like 54 from something like 80 on the S21, but I could be wrong. I'm unsure on that.
Oh, so Samsung, what are you doing?
Exactly. There's so many downgrades to all these Samsung devices that are coming out.
Yes, and the funny thing is that when the Samsung Galaxy Fold originally released, the whole purpose was to have a phone and a tablet in one device. Now they're showing how it can stand in awkward positions in their ads.
Yeah, I thought about buying a Z Flip for a bit, but I just didn't really want to deal with the durability.
Yeah, and so that's all we've got for the iPhone 14 rumors for this week. There aren't a lot, but
Yeah, and we've already went over USB-C iPhones, which may come to the 14. We're unsure.
yeah,
It might
so
just it might just come to European models though.
yeah, that might be that's probably what Apple's gonna do, which will make
Probably that.
which the CDMA iPhone 4s, which are a little bit different than the regular iPhone 4s. Now they can only be found inside the US very easily.
Yeah, I sold people in the UK and Germany. They have to get those imported from the US, I guess.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, but so this will mean that the iPhone 14s with USB-C ports are going to be kind of a gem to Apple collectors.
Yeah, especially in the US. And it will also make eBay sales go up in value for European models.
Yeah, because the Samsung Galaxy S1, the original model was only sold in Europe and Asia.
Oh wow. I do
And
have an S1. It's a T-Mobile variant.
yeah, so but most of them aren't very similar to the original, didn't get as many updates as the original. And every carrier in the US has a different model of Samsung Galaxy S1.
Yeah, it was the S3 where they streamlined the carriers.
And and so I think the AT&T version of the Samsung Galaxy S1 is personally the coolest.
I haven't saw all the models. I think I've saw Sprint and T-Mobile.
Yeah, I think Sprints are really cool too. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm getting sort of interested in collecting vintage Android phones. So if I do buy an S1, I'm not sure which variant I'll get. I'll have to
yeah.
decide
I
that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But
My
let's. What were we gonna say?
my personal favorite Samsung used to be the S2 and the S3 on an older version, just because of how cool the UI looked.
Yeah, I have a Samsung Galaxy S2 as well. The battery on it isn't very good anymore, so I have to get it replaced. But well, I can
Mm,
replace it because it's very easy to do. But that's the T-Mobile variant, but has a pretty cool UI and even has Face Unlock.
yeah, I think they're cool.
Yeah, so now let's move on to the next and final thing in Apple news, which is so can you so the iPhone SE3 is not selling very well.
As expected.
Yes.
I
I
think they should have took the 12 mini design, put it into an SE3, and called it a day. Because the 12 mini design for an SE3, even though technically it would really compete against the 13 mini, they should have probably waited another.
few months.
Yeah, it would have really competed against the 13 mini if they did that.
Yeah. And so so Apple's cutting back iPhone SE3 production as a surprise as a result.
Yeah, it seems like a nice phone though, which is why it's kind of sad that they might not even make an SE4.
Yeah, but that'll mean that the SE3 will probably become a gem to Apple collectors too.
I do really wonder, because I've actually gotten three iPhone SE2s from recycling. I do really wonder how many of these are just going to end up in recycling, the SE2s. Because
Yeah,
obviously, people don't want these SE2s, and people are throwing them out instead of getting them traded.
yeah, I know that's kind of sad, but I don't do recycling hunting just because I don't think that's allowed t-
Um,
technically, but I don't, which is why I don't go recycling hunting, but I'm sure if I did go, but I did
from what
once look inside a Target bin just to see what was in there, and people, and I didn't see any SE2s then, but that was like back in late 2020.
what did you see? And
I don't remember.
uh,
I should have
yeah,
taken a
from
photo of what was in there.
from what I remember, from what I researched, um, it's technically not the store's property, but it's not your property, so it's nobody's property until you kind of claim it. From what I've researched, about this.
Yeah. Again, when I hardly ever go to a Target because I don't live very close to one, and also I didn't have a bag or anything to carry the stuff in.
Yeah,
So that does make me wonder though, but I actually visited a local science museum once on a school field trip where you could donate your old phone or camera to science for science. Yes, that's kind of stupid, but I remember looking at that pile because that was back in December of 2018, and I went, "Aw," which is kind of
what?
sad because Jordan Riddles, who will be a guest on this podcast in late May, he actually went to a science camp where they were using an iPhone 4S to test whether it would float or sink. Which is kind of sad because obviously the iPhone 4S does sink because it's flat.
Yeah, plus it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, so I think the iPhone 3GS and the 3G and the 2G probably would float, but I'm not going to experiment.
Yeah, maybe I will with some parts iPhones eventually, since I do have some parts that are water damaged already.
Yeah. So, do you know? So, Now let's move on to topic number 4 that I have scheduled. So, I want to ask you something right now.
All right.
Do you like YouTube's? Do you like it whenever a YouTuber has a sponsor for a YouTube video?
It's really annoying because I gotta skip through about a minute of useless crap.
Yes, I know.
There is one YouTuber who I think does actually good sponsors. That's Snapsy Labs. I think that he actually does really nice sponsors, and the sponsors that he has, I feel like he actually cares about and believes in the company.
Who?
But Linus Tech Tips, I don't even think believes in his
Yeah.
sponsors really.
Who? Who was the name of the YouTuber that believe that you like his sponsors?
Snazzy Labs, Quinn Nelson.
Oh, oh yeah, his sponsors are awesome.
Yeah, especially Rav Power One. It's actually, I actually think I might buy a Rav Power desktop manager because of that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, but that's very irritating because most of the time the services are basic crap. Like, I'm sure you've heard of Skillshare via YouTube sponsorships, right?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, you can literally look up YouTube tutorials to find out what you're doing rather than paying for a membership.
Yeah, I just don't see a real point in subscribing to them.
Well, I see a point for them.
Yeah, because they get money every sponsorship they do.
Oh, and Skillshare gets money via scamming people that way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't understand people actually subscribe to them.
Yeah, my mom actually had a subscription to them at one point to help her figure out editing.
Yeah, I
But
learned editing on my own for about 5 years, or maybe 6,
you learned editing on what?
on my own. I
Yeah,
ended up playing with iMovie, then upgrading to Final Cut.
yeah. I've had to look up a lot of stuff about how to do an iMovie, but
Yeah, I have looked up a lot on Final Cut editing to get transitions and stuff working correctly.
yeah, I can understand because for a $300 program, you'd probably have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, but it is worth the money, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upgrading to Final Cut Pro just because I can't afford it.
Yeah, what I do is I just have the trial, and I just reinstall the trial every 90 days.
How do you do? Isn't how do you? Oh well, how?
There's a trial version of Final Cut, and you can just re-download that after 90 days, and it'll pretty much renew the trial.
Huh?
Yeah, and it
Is
works
that
really good.
legal?
Yeah, it's legal. It's not pirating since it is Apple's own kind of loophole.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk. So another useless, and it always seems like some sort of VPN has got to sponsor every YouTuber.
Yeah, and I don't even think these VPNs are even worth it, to be honest, because in the grand scheme of things, VPNs don't do what people think they do.
Yes. So
Yeah, so people say it protects your browsing history. Well, if it's a HTTPS website, then a VPN won't help it. It's already secured if it's HTTPS.
yeah, exactly. And most websites are HTTPS.
Yeah. And then another thing is it hides your IP, but there's easy workarounds that I've even seen happen to me when using a VPN. There's always some sort of a backlog of your actual IP.
Yes, because yes, so law enforcement can easily get around to VPNs.
Yeah, or just people too, which means anyone can see anyone's actual IP using a VPN.
Yeah, that's pretty. So they're definitely not more secure.
Yeah, I don't think they really do anything to help.
Yeah, so. And the most irritating part about YouTube sponsors is that I don't pay for YouTube Premium, but what if you do?
Yeah, I do have for, and now I just have to figure out this, sponsor stuff because YouTube has no way of blocking sponsorships out for premium users.
Yes, which is irritating because YouTube Premium is expensive.
Yeah, but it is one of my own. It is pretty much. I don't really have cable. Um, well, I don't use cable, so I pretty much have YouTube and Hulu with ads.
Yeah, I think that Hulu is probably. I think that most of the big streaming services are overpriced.
Yeah, I've been using Hulu for a while. It's only about $6 a month.
They upped it to 8
Ah, it's annoying.
with ads.
Yeah.
You can get ad-free streaming services for obviously cheaper, like Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, but Apple TV Plus is mainly originals.
Yeah. Yeah, again with Hulu, you have to consider that there's a far broader variety of content.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything that's not really original.
Well, Hulu does have some originals, but keep in mind that they have a pretty good but you can find a lot of older shows on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of we should get back. So are there any other big types of so have you ever heard of the YouTuber iClassic before?
Yeah.
So he started having sponsors on his channel over the past few months because his channel has grown rapidly. So his first sponsorship was Dr. Phone.
Which I think is a scam of a service. I actually.
Yeah, Dr. Phone does not work very well.
Yeah, it's such a bad service, honestly.
Dr. Phone, Dr. But it was stating how you could transfer data from your old iPhone to your new iPhone via that. Apple
Yeah,
has
you
their
know what
own
I'm talking about.
built-in software for doing that.
Yeah, plus, how am I going to trust Dr. Phone not to sell my info to people?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me why somebody would purchase that.
Yeah, and it's not and you can do it from Apple for free and my grandmother back when she was upgrading from her 5S to her 10R and her 5S is now my 5S. But I but back when she was upgrading, she decided that she wanted Verizon to transfer it for her instead of me, which I was a little bit mad at. But
Did Verizon mess it up at all?
oh yes, it got so screwed up that when she's had her 5S since she bought her 5S in May of 2014, and she was doing a special presentation for a big family moment, and she in all of her photos from 2017 and 2018 were missing.
Oh, that's Verizon.
And there's still been some stuff that's missing to where she still doesn't allow me to erase my 5S. Which
Yeah.
luckily it's already on a rare on 10.3.2, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. That
So
is a pretty good firmware.
yeah, I'm hoping someday that there is an untethered downgrade out there for the 5S. Because
Yeah,
I want
mine
to
is
take
on
it back.
8.3, I think.
What? Yeah.
I think my 5S is 8.3, 64 gigabyte.
Oh wow, that's nice. Yeah. I
Yeah, it's my favorite phone in my collection, other than my 128 gigabyte 6S Plus.
yeah, I want to take that. Yeah, I want to take my 5 because once that downgrade does come out, I'm going to try to take my 5S back to iOS 7 if
Yeah.
one comes out, because the box for it that you see in the background of all my videos, that's obviously an iOS 7 revision model, so it would only make sense to get on the firmware to match its box.
Yeah. That does make sense.
Yeah, so oh, and the second annoying most notable sponsor about that iClassic had that wasn't that I remember was, I think this was the one that finally caused me to unsubscribe to his channel, was this program where you could transfer music from your computer to your iPhone.
That's a waste of space to have that.
Oh yeah, and
It's just a waste of space, a waste of money.
yes, because you can do that via Finder and most compute, and you can even do that via File Explorer, I think too.
Yeah, you can do it with anything.
So that's pretty much a scam. And let's talk about the actual YouTube ads now. So that YouTube ad that I get the most is for something called Kachava.
What's that?
Kachava is basically something to try to eat healthy and feel your best.
Oh, yeah. Those ads do get on a lot of videos. Whenever I go on my. So I have two YouTube accounts, one that's my main account, and one of them that I watch videos on, because I don't want someone to get mad at a comment that I make if I make, if I say something to correct someone, or if someone just doesn't like what I say, I don't want them to go to my channel and start disliking all my videos. So I have this second account, but whenever I go on my main account, I always get mouse case ads.
Yeah, I get those frequently too, but not as frequently.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and you should see they have lots of dieting ads.
yeah, it's pretty much what Google thinks that you like.
Yes, I'm still my Google account thinks I'm 20, though my Google account does think though my main Google account thinks I'm like 27 in my 20s, because back when I created it, you there was no there was no strings attached. You had to be at least 13, or
Yeah,
you at least
my
had to say
Google
you were
account thinks
13.
that too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad my account didn't get flagged for that, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to start my YouTube channel until March of last year.
Yeah,
Because technically you aren't allowed to upload YouTube videos until you're 13.
yeah, so I would have been banned until December 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm
unfortunate.
yeah, so but the sa- but so they have a lot of dieting ads, but they also have a lot of solar power ads.
Yeah, I only know that my neighbors have solar panels.
Yeah, so these solar power ads are probably scams, but the idea is that there's no more monthly bills, which is possible with solar panels.
Yeah, but there is the maintenance and the installation and the
Yeah.
cost of the panels
Well, I
themselves.
meant like yeah, I meant that kind of stuff. I meant just flat out bills. But
Yeah,
they get so they have these ads with, and funny enough, the ads say blank homeowners, meaning at the state, and it's for one state away from me. So I already don't qualify, and I'm already not a homeowner, of course,
yeah,
because
it makes
I
no sense why all these ads would be shown to, teenagers.
yeah, but you know what the ads do? they usually like to get a model type of person to be in the ads.
Oh yeah, I've seen that with a lot of different ads.
Yeah, like they've I remember one solar panel ad where the woman wasn't even fully dressed.
Yeah, I've seen that on multiple different occasions on different platforms.
Yeah, that's a
And
class.
it to me it kind of signifies lower quality.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, to me, the more advertising tricks they use, the more lower quality the service is.
Yeah,
Because
because if they have to really sell it to you using an ad, then the service obviously isn't going to be amazing.
yes, because the Liberty Mutual ads, which do play on YouTube, so so they have their latest trend of ads is with DJ Liberty, where
What
they
is a DJ Liberty?
it's to advertise Liberty Mutual Insurance, but they claim that there's a guy doing the worm on the on the sidewalk, and they claim that it's that customize and save feeling.
What I don't get is how they made up the name DJ Liberty.
Because they're called Liberty Mutual.
Yeah, and I guess that they think that they're gonna become a DJ or something.
Yeah, yeah, but they obviously have their wet teddy bear. And do you remember the Liberty Mutual wet teddy bear ads?
A bit.
Yeah, so and yet so they try to get all these advertising tricks into their ads, but my grandmother used to have Liberty Mutual, but it got so too expensive for her, so she had to switch to a different insurance company.
Yeah, that tends to happen to a lot of services after they get ad hungry.
Yeah, and my parents, they Liberty Mutual screwed them over,
Yeah,
so I think that I don't know if they're still using Liberty Mutual or not because I don't pay attention to my parents' insurance.
yeah. That I don't know why they would if after they got screwed over by them.
Yeah, but each yeah, but that but the more tricks they use, the lower quality of the service. Oh, did I for and so do you know who the computer clan is?
Yeah, the Ken guy.
Yeah. So he always debunks these scam procs and these weird YouTube ads
Yeah, I've saw that before.
to where and Liz and there's and they always start off with there's a something chance that your car or phone, TV or whatever is infected with something. And
Yeah,
then
it's
they go
actually
on to make ridiculous claims.
yeah. Most of them are scam claims too, not even really true.
Yeah. Yeah, so his in his latest episode, they deep they debunk in their latest episode he debunked a device that claimed to hack into your TV to give to give you free thousands of free channels, movies and TV shows.
Wasn't it just a caster device?
Yeah, but in the ad, I know in the ad there were two major flaws that I spotted. Number one, the network logos were really old.
Yeah, I don't know how that even happens.
And number two, they were demonstrating one of the TV shows that showed in the clip was Friends, which was a very major TV show back when it was airing.
Yeah, it's a good TV show.
Yeah, I've seen it before too, but licensing rights for a show like that is not cheap. Is definitely not cheap. So
Yeah,
I know that's already a ridiculous claim. But the ad was in Germany, and Friends was obviously an American show, so
yeah.
that could have been something. But that's pretty much all we have to say about YouTube sponsors and ads. So let's go on to the next next thing in tech that we all get irritated by.
Right.
Two-factor authentication.
That's why I have two iClouds actually, because my main one has two-factor on, but my old one from 2014 doesn't. So I'm able to use my old one for all my collection devices, but my main one for my main devices.
Yeah. So the pro, but two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication has gotten so annoying for numerous reasons.
Yeah,
Number one, it is not more secure than your password because scammers can easily type in the code without you entering in the password,
yeah,
which is very. And the irritating part is that everybody thinks it's secure, so everybody's doing it. And my mom, who teaches online college, at one of her universities, there's a new federal privacy law that states that all universities must be on two factor authentication, meaning that since it doesn't save your login, my mom now has to deal with two factor authentication every single day.
yeah, that's really annoying. I have two-factor authentication turned on, with my important account just to have that extra bit of security, but it's not really a real big decision, you know, because Google automatically has two-factor authentication on all accounts, where if it does not recognize your location, they will send a login request, or they will say there was an error logging in.
Yeah, they.
So,
Luckily, that did almost save my Google account because a few months ago, somebody from India tried to sign into my YouTube account.
yeah, a bunch of Indians tried to hack my old Instagram from 2014, apparently.
Yeah. So, and the irritating part is that, at least with your Apple ID, I don't know how this works with other accounts, but with your Apple ID, they don't give you the option to turn it off after 2 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't even give me an option to turn it off at all for accounts.
Yeah, which is irritating because where I turn it off, because I have old devices where two-factor authentication is not exactly off meant to work with.
Yeah, and also I don't want to have two-factor authentication always on the ready whenever I'm signing into iCloud on something like iPhone 5 or something.
Yeah, because on iOS 8 and above, it's two-factor authentication is easy to use. But on iOS 5 through 7, but on iOS 7 and below,
You have to type in the password followed by the code,
yeah,
right?
but get this. Your password cannot end in a number in order for that to work properly.
Wow.
Yep, so as a consequence, I had to change my password just because of that. And on iOS 5 and through 7, it will say that type your password in followed by the code. But on iOS 4 and below, it will just say failure to log in, to where it will then send you the code to where you log in like that. Because iOS 4 and below doesn't know that two-factor authentication is a thing.
Yeah. Another thing that I have realized is do you or anyone in your household have
I'm sorry you cut out there. What were you asking me?
does anybody in your house have a HomePod?
Nope.
So when I got my original HomePod, which I ended up returning, they forced me to turn on two-factor authentication to simply set up the HomePod.
Wow.
And when I saw that, that was back in 2018, so I was just like, yeah, I can't do this. And I turned it on, and just to, because I was gonna actually because I just didn't think the product itself was that good. But I turned it on, and the HomePod still didn't work correctly. So then I went to turn it off, and it did not let me turn it off at all. So I had to try to contact Apple support, which didn't work. So I just permanently had two-factor authentication stuck on my old account. And then eventually, that account, I had a demo iPhone that I signed in on, and that account got ruined because all of the demo contacts with those goofy names for people who don't exist got on my iCloud permanently with literally no way of taking them.
Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous, but
Yeah,
nah.
it's a very unfortunate year, 2019.
Yeah, let's talk now. So, a very important lesson that I'm sure we've all learned before is not to cheap out on products,
On what?
tech products.
Oh, yeah, I've had that happen many times before, fortunately.
Because, my dad and I have both gone to Five Below before to get tech.
Yeah, I've got some stuff from there.
So, I got an AirPods case which had a little gaming pad on it to where I could game on it on my AirPods. But the top kept falling off that case like crazy. And what happened with that case was the button got out and I couldn't get back in, so that case was permanently broken. So I threw that case out.
Yeah, I bought a couple things. One of them was a $5 microphone, which I did a video on. I've also gotten multiple speakers from Five Below, which I ended up blowing. And I've gotten earplugs from Five Below, a keyboard from Five Below, which was the worst keyboard I've felt in my entire life, and some cables from Five Below, which are not MFI certified, so I did not really use for any of my main devices.
Yeah. And so the funniest thing is that my dad decided to get a car mount for his that used that stuck onto the surface of your car because
Yeah,
in one of our cars the vents are friendly for vents for those phone holders, but on my other car the vents won't work with those kinds of holders.
yeah. Just CarPlay on both of those cars.
And my those cars don't obviously have CarPlay.
Yeah,
So what we decide so last yesterday as my dad was going on a business trip, so he obviously needed to mount his phone. We set up the car mount that we got Five Below, and even with the stickum that came with, it would not stick.
yeah, yeah. To replace multiple Five Below products with Amazon products for.
Yeah, and I've never. Yeah, and I've done. Oh yeah, and so I actually bought this. And Five Below products are really cheap out on Stickum, as I found out, because I bought a smartphone stand once from Five Below that came with Stickum that was supposed to have suction cups that you would put onto the table, put onto whatever surface in any kind of layout, and then you would put your phone on the little mount. That was how it was supposed to work. It did not stick.
Yeah, that sounds like Five Below quality. I've bought stuff from Amazon. I bought a MagSafe stand on Amazon, and MagSafe did not fit in the product whatsoever. So I ended up putting it into the uh, stand.
I'm sorry I didn't hear you there.
A MagSafe
Oh, yeah. And another thing that I bought from Five Below was a microphone because that was back. I did a video on that, but I wanted
Yeah,
to try
you mentioned.
podcasting, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll try this mic out. Maybe it'll be a good mic. Nope. It was a good mic, but it was no better than my iPad or iPhone's mic.
Yeah. Oh, I got a blue snowball mic a while ago, and it's been pretty much perfect. So if you need a mic, I recommend one of those.
Do those connect via USB C or USB A?
Um, it's USB A, but you can get a USB C cable. It just connects by a normal mini USB, so you can get mini USB to USB C if you
Oh,
needed.
all right, that will be awesome because I
Yeah,
at this
but there
point I'm just
is
going to be buying USB-C accessories because my 2019 MacBook Pro obviously doesn't have USB-A ports.
yeah, but there is two versions of the mic. One of them takes a printer cable, but I'm pretty sure you can just get that to USB-C. I think there's the blue snowball and the blue snowball ice. I forgot which one I have, but it does take a mini USB. And there's also the Yeti, which takes mini USB, and the Yeti Nano, which is $100 that takes mini USB, or no, micro USB.
Yeah, and there's and the funniest thing is that I always every time I see an aftermarket char power brick, I immediately tell people to not use it.
Just give people new charge bricks if they have a bad charge brick because I don't want them to damage their devices.
Yes, because there have been plenty of reports of cheap Dollar Tree power bricks that have fried their phones permanently after like a week.
It even cause some house fires.
Yeah, and the irritating part is that my Apple is that if you just buy the first party power bricks, then they're going to work perfectly fine.
And if they don't, then you can just take the phone to Apple and they'll get you a new phone or a replacement unit.
Yeah, so and aftermarket cables just wear out so fast.
Yeah,
Like
and
cheap,
most of
yeah.
them are garbage unless they're MFI certified.
Yeah, and the only way you can even use non-certified power bricks and chargers is because China has figured out a way to bypass MFI certification.
Unfortunately,
Yep. I wonder. So I wonder how they were able to do that.
I assume probably taking an MFI chip, copying all the data off of it, making a fake chip, and pasting the data into that, pretty much reading the data and writing new data onto fake chips.
Yeah, that would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what's happening.
And so, and you know those cheap briefcase style record players?
Yeah,
Well, they what they do is I've seen actual reports of this happening is they will put too much pressure on the records and destroy your records slowly but surely every time you play them
yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of cheap products.
because obviously because and most people who buy records generally buy it because they want to have physical copies of really good music,
Yeah, perfect quality, pretty much.
but they're not going to get it if they cheap out on the players,
Yeah,
which is
players
why
are pretty expensive, which is why a lot of people don't get into records.
yeah, which is why my dad actually got a nicer but older but a nicer record player used that was an older but known brand,
It's
and it
good.
works just fine.
Yeah, it's good.
So, yeah. Oh yeah. Also, if you cheap out on smartphones. Like get those really cheap burner phones from like Walmart or Target.
Yeah, so my friend had these cheap Samsungs, LGs. I gave him a 6S. It's better. This like 7-year-old 6S is better than this 1-year-old Samsung Galaxy A12 in every way, except battery. Battery on the 6S's aren't that good, but it does have a lot more power than that A12 does.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about because Apple Maniac YT, a YouTuber I'm subscribed to and who will be on the podcast in June, he he did a couple of unboxings of really cheap Android phones, and he made sure to keep all the plastic and all the packaging that came with them because there's always gonna because he said there would probably be something wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure the Apple Maniac has. I'm pretty sure he's a Target bin YouTuber, isn't he? Or is that
No,
still
he
on?
is not. He has done Target bin stuff in the past, but he doesn't do that. He hasn't done that in recent years.
I remember there was one Maniac that was doing Target bin videos at one point, but I'm not sure if that's the same Maniac.
I think that's Phone Maniac YT you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that is Phone Maniac. There's so many maniacs out there.
I know. Not real maniacs, but
Yeah.
yeah. You should actually check out Apple Maniac YT's channel. He changed his name for April Fool's Day, but once he changes it back after April Fool's Day, you should check out his channel. He makes some pretty good videos.
Yeah. Yeah, my house did get robbed last night and I lost all my Apple products, unfortunately.
Wait a second. How are you recording this podcast?
April Fools.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I still
That's
got all my products.
that's not a very obvious prank. Did you see that Alpha Day Wolf is trying to prank his sister?
Oh, nice. How?
I don't know yet. He'll probably post a video on one of his channels about it. But yeah. But yeah, and if you check out my latest YouTube video, you should see how many Rickrolls there are in there.
Oh, yeah, my mom rickrolled my friend a few days ago.
Yeah. One time when when I gave my dad a pair of earbuds to borrow that were still connected to my iPad, I actually I actually loaded up the "Never Gonna Give You Up" video to Rickroll my dad.
What was his reaction?
I don't know. I don't remember, but my mom knew because she was in the room. My mom immediately knew what had happened without any description. I'm sorry, what did you say there?
I said, that's nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. Have you planned on pranking anyone? Have you pranked anyone for April Fool's Day?
Well, not yet, but tonight I am waiting with the iPhone 6S, and I might disconnect his battery cable to prank him and see what he does. I'll figure out something.
Yeah, or if my dad's obviously on a business trip right now, so I can't do this, but
You
if
could
he
you could do star 67 and leave him the Rick roll from your mom's phone.
was Star 67 do again?
It does unknown caller ID, so it says like no caller ID.
Oh, Yeah, yeah, what I could do. Yeah, but my original plan for an April Fool's Day prank, which I can't do right now was I was gonna swap the SIM cards in my parents' phones.
Ah, that would be funny.
to where my mom would be getting all of my to where my mom would have all my dad's business partners calling and texting her, and my dad would be getting all sorts of texts from the post office.
That would be funny.
Yeah. So, yeah. In fact, if you have family members, you should do that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a white Tesla parked outside of my house.
Oh, that's cool. There is currently no. I can't currently see any cars outside my house.
Yeah, he's just sitting there in his car.
Huh.
And off.
Yeah.
His car may have just died.
Oh man.
Well, there's something going on with him.
Yeah, they're. Yeah, my family has had two BMWs. One was
And
from late.
he's had Audis for the past 5 or so years.
Yeah, so the first BMW was between 2015 and 2017. Late 2015, late 2017. The other one was from late 2017 to early 2019. But one time with both BMWs, I had gotten stranded just trying to pull out. One time I got stranded trying to pull out of a grocery store, and the other time with my other BMW, I got stranded trying to pull out of a Flying J.
Not good.
Yes. So, yeah. I'm sorry that you got robbed, Tabbypears, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah. I
everybody
might
knows.
try that on my Instagram later.
But they wouldn't. No one would believe it though because you'd be posting it.
Yeah, it's a good point. That Hubert guy would probably believe it. Or Hubbard, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I have him blocked currently
Yeah.
because I
He's an
think
interesting guy, he is.
I've tried to. Yeah, he's tried trolling me. He's tried to troll me before, so
Yeah, he tried sending me a Rickroll, and I was just like, what are you doing?
yeah he
Because he tried hiding it, but he forgot to turn off, like, the, link previews.
yeah. The Tech Realm can successfully turn off link previews. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, but he actually created. But I don't know if it was him or not. But I'm pretty sure he created an account, a trolling account, to leak photos of me and my family.
That's screwed up.
Yeah. So, and I think so. And remember back a couple of weeks ago when the Jewish hacker texted me spam messages?
Yeah,
I think that Hubert may have been behind that too.
unfortunately.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
yeah.
I don't think that Hubert's Jewish though.
I I well, I think that there were two different people involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, though it could be him because the photo of his profile of the Jewish hacker's profile picture on YouTube is awfully low quality and looks like it was screenshotted.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's also another account called, I think it's Jubert Meow on Instagram. Um, it's my friend, like my best friend in real life. And Hubert's like info on it with some random phone number in it. So I don't know what's up with that, but someone made that to troll me, I assume. I don't
yeah.
know how he found his face though.
Yeah, I don't know how they found I don't know how they found out who my family was either.
Yeah, and one, another thing that happened impersonating me with a photo of, I think, some other guy named Liam, who's not even me.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about that kind of stuff, and I apologize to anybody who's offended by that conversation.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've gotten troll, yeah, I've gotten trolled before.
yeah, I just don't think these people should be leaking families, innocent family members' info as well.
Yes, uh, and on one of the trolling profiles, they said my cats have dumb names like me, and the funny joke was, and just and does the per and the example, and I'm pretty sure they were referring to Orangey, one of my cats. But the funny, but did these did the but I'm pretty sure the troller never expected that they never stopped to think that I may have been a little kid when naming my cats.
Yeah, I also don't think that he realizes that they're cats. And what does he think that you're gonna name the cat? Ben, Jack? Like those are human names. You gotta have cat names and human names.
Well, I have actually named some of my cats human names, but yeah,
Like
Orange.
Michael, right? Or Mike.
I do have a cat named Mike.
Yeah, that's a cool name. One of my friends has a cat named Mike.
Yeah, 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 like I was 6 when Orangey was born.
Yeah, I named two dogs. No, one dog and a cat. The dog Polly, which was actually my old username before I changed my YouTube username, and my cat Milo.
Yeah, and yeah, I've surely come up with some different names for my cats.
Yeah, they're pretty cool though.
Like my parents act yeah, like I named Stormy because he was gray, kind of like the gray clouds you see in a storm.
Yeah, I like that name.
And he had another sister in the litter that went to live in a different home named Cloudy, who looked just pretty much like Stormy except lighter.
Cool.
And Sugar was obviously named Sugar because though he's technically not a white cat, he's technically a flame point Siamese. He is he has a lot of white fur on him, so we call him Sugar because he's white like sugar.
Yeah,
And my other flame point Siamese cat is named Flower.
it's pretty cool.
He has a little more orange on him, but yeah, so
Yeah, that said, I have to go dinner in a few minutes, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. You haven't seen. I once incidentally posted a photo of comparing baby sugar to adult sugar, but it was actually a photo of baby flour that I posted, thinking it was sugar.
do all your cats have names?
Yes,
Oh, that's cool.
all my indoor cats have names.
You ever get them confused or mixed up?
Nope,
That's good.
but every cat is different, so it's kind of hard to mix them all up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the only reason why I haven't revealed the exact number of cats I have is because I don't want somebody in real life to try to report it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like actual laws that can be really punished. I think the most you'll like if you're renting an apartment, I think that when you'd have issues. Or if you're renting a house, that when you'd have issues with your landlord. But if you know,
Yeah.
you can I don't think there's issues.
Yeah, because my family does own a house, so
Yeah, so technically I think that you can really do whatever.
I think cities have limits though.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
But I don't think but I haven't found one for my city yet, so I'm
Yeah,
assuming that there's no, so there probably isn't a limit.
yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Not real, not really.
Alright, I think that's to wrap up this podcast, which started off pretty rocky at the start, but I think that was actually probably our best podcast yet, actually.
Yeah, because we talked about everything thing my channel is known for, which is cats, technology.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I am getting a lot of progress on my big video coming on April 6th. I'm 17 minutes into it now, and hopefully I'll be able to get a nice video out of this.
Yeah. Oh well, so this has been another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. Please do me a favor and check out all the stuff listed in the description below. I am the iTunes Fanboy,
I'm Tabbypears.
and we are officially saying peace out until next week.